Unity, unity, unity. Community, community, community. Family, family, family. Peace, 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 peace. Love, 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 love. Unity, 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 unity. Community, 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 community. Family, 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 family. Today is January 1st, 2025. It is 11:23. It is 11:23, and I am going to be reading again from last night. Beat the Odds. Well, I left off at page 22. Walking out of the jail, the concrete is still behind me. Felt like a distant memory, though I knew it wasn't gone for good. The smell of fresh air, the cool breeze of my skin, and the emptiness of the streets and at night made me realize how much I had taken for granted before all this. I had only been in it for a few days, but it felt like a lifetime. That man who helped me navigate the bail process had given me a small chance, but I knew it was only the beginning. Walking into the unknown, with no real plan in place, was still daunting. I had no idea what would happen next, but the night left like a fresh start. I knew I couldn't waste it. I stood there for a moment, just taking it all in, before making my way down the street. My mind raced, trying to figure out where to go, who to turn. My phone was still in my pocket, but I wasn't sure who to call. Family? Friends? I wasn't even sure who would pick up at this hour. But in the moment, I wasn't worried about who was going to answer the phone. I was just grateful for the space to breathe, to think, and to take the first step in a new chapter, whatever it might bring. The night was quiet, but the first time in days, I felt like I had a chance to fight back, to reclaim my life, and to try to make something out of a mess I was in. The weight of the words was still on my shoulders. That's why I don't like reading off the computer. Okay, but with each step I took into the night, I knew that I was no longer trapped. Not yet, and that made me all the difference. The first person I called when I walked out that night was my mom. My heart was pounding in my chest as I dialed her number. The anticipation of hearing her voice almost overwhelming. I had no idea what to expect, how she would react. I knew I needed to hear from her. Reassurance, the comfort of knowing that I wasn't entirely alone in this. It rang a few times before she answered. Hello. Mom's voice cracked slightly, like she'd been holding her breath, unsure if I was really calling from the outside or if this was just kind of a cruel dream. For a moment, neither of us said anything. There was a long silence between us, and I could feel the weight of everything in that pause, the fear, the worry, the regret. Then a voice that felt both relieved and tearful. She said, "Are you out? Is it really you?" "Yeah, Mom," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "I'm out. I made bail." I could hear her exhale sharply on the other end of the line, like she had been holding her breath for days. "Thank God," she whispered, and then the floodgates seemed to open. I could hear her trying to fight back tears, and I knew how much this had been weighing on her, even if I hadn't fully realized it before. The feeling of guilt hit me hard in a moment, knowing how much I had hurt her. how much pain had caused. I'm so sorry, Mom, I said, my voice cracking. I never meant for any of this happen. I don't know what to do. I don't know what's next. I know, baby, she said softly, her voice full of love despite everything. We figured it out. I'm just glad you are safe. That's all matters right now. Hearing her say that, the weight had been carrying for the past few days, maybe longer, began lift a little. It wasn't gone. It wasn't gone, but in that moment, I felt a flicker of hope. She was still there. Still my mom, and she loved me despite everything. I didn't, I didn't, I didn't have all the answers, but at least I had her. And and in a world where so much had felt out of control, that was enough to hold onto for now. I'll come to you, I said after a moment. I don't know where to go, but I need to go be with you. She agreed, her voice filled with both relief and concern. Just just get here safely, okay? We will talk more when you get here. As I entered the car, I looked around the quiet night, feeling the weight of everything settle into place. I wasn't sure how I was going to rebuild. How I would make things right. But I knew one thing for sure. I had to take it one step at a time. After I got in touch with my mom and settled in a bit, I knew I had to take care of the practical things. Starting with my job, I've been working at SWVC, Southwest Veterans Center, before everything went down, and I wasn't sure how they would react to the situation. I had no idea if they'd be willing to keep me on, given the charges I was facing and the uncertainty of my situation. But I had to at least try. Instead of calling my supervisor, I decided to reach out to human resources to explain my situation. I wasn't sure how they would react, but I knew I had to let them know what was going on. I was honest with them about my bail and the ongoing trial, not sure if they'd be understanding or it would cost me my job. But to my surprise, they were professional and empathetic. They listened carefully, then told me they need to then then told me they need to direct me to our union for further guidance. They explained that the union would be able to help navigate the situation, especially since it was a legal matter, and they had experience with these kinds of circumstances. I appreciate their professionalism and the fact that they didn't make assumptions or judge me the right way. The union's response was even better than I expected. I had been on good terms with them, always respected and cooperative, so they knew me well. They immediately took my case seriously and reassured me that they would support me through the trial process. They worked with human resources to ensure that I could continue working while going through the legal proceedings, often offering flexible hours and adjustments for court dates. I felt a wave of gratitude in a world where it often feels like when you are on your own when things go wrong. That support from the union and human resources, willingness to help, made all the difference. It wasn't just about keeping my job. It was knowing that people cared enough to look out for me, to give me a chance to get through this. Having that kind of support helped me to stay grounded during the 6 months. Despite the uncertainty surrounding the trial, I knew I had a place to go every day, a sense of normalcy that helped me focus on something positive. I didn't take that for granted. It was a lifeline that I was truly grateful for. The weight of facing 10 to 20 years hung over me for months, every day feeling like a struggle to breathe under the pressure of those charges. I spent sleepless nights worrying about what was going to happen, wondering if I would ever get out of this nightmare. But after 6 months long of uncertainty and the court appearances, the unexpected happened. The charges were dropped one by one. When I heard that the charges were dismissed, I couldn't believe it. I was in shock, feeling a mixture of disbelief and relief. It wasn't over though. There was still one charge I had to deal with, carrying a firearm without a license. Despite all the others being dropped, this one stuck, and it felt like a reminder that I wasn't completely free from the consequences of my actions. But even with the charge still hanging over me, I knew things could have been worse. The judge sentenced me to 18 months of unsupervised probation which in comparison to 10 to 20 years I had originally been facing, felt like a gift. It wasn't a freedom, but it was a chance to rebuild, to reprove that I had learned from my mistakes and was willing to change. The weight of the trial and the possibility of prison had been crushing, but no, but now the path forward. I wasn't completely free, but I wasn't locked away either. 18 months of probation meant I had to stay clean, keep my head down, and avoid trouble. I was it was a lot to take in, but compared to what I had been facing, it felt like the second chance. The road ahead wasn't easy, but but I, ma- but I had made it this far. It wasn't a perfect ending, but it was a beginning of a new chapter, one where I could prove that I wasn't defined by my mistakes. I was determined to make the most of it. If y'all just tapping in with me, I appreciate y'all. I'm grateful for y'all. Make sure y'all take this video, take to 1 share, to 10 shares, 10 shares to 100 shares, 100 shares to 1,000 shares, 1,000 shares to 10,000 shares, 10,000 shares to 100,000 shares. Y'all know the rest. 100,000 shares to 1 million shares, and it all starts with you. Go ahead, hit the heart button, the like button. Whatever you do, we know we talk about peace, love, unity, community, and family. So another thing is to go to my wife page. She's crushing it, y'all. Her page is Dion. I'm gonna stop telling people about her page because she be getting too many likes, and I'm trying to catch up. But nah, I ain't gonna hate on her. Her page is Dion's Life, DIONNE apostrophe S Life, Dion's Life. So go check her page out as well. I am reading Beat the Odds by Joshua D. Hicks. This is his first book. So if y'all watching on YouTube, go check out his Facebook as well. Joshua D. Hicks on Facebook. And Facebook, if you watching as well, go to YouTube and check out Tru Hicks, TruHicks. Make sure y'all drink your waters, your teas, your juices. Today I'm having some green tea, and shout out to my baby again, always hooking me up. So today was cold tea, so shout out to my baby. Okay, let's keep on going. One day I was driving. I passed by a funeral home, its large, quiet presence standing in stark contrast to the hustle of the streets I'd driven by countless times before. But that day, something about it hit differently. It wasn't it wasn't just the building or the somber atmosphere that caught my attention. It was a feeling deep inside me, a quiet promise to myself. I told myself one day I would have a conversation with the owner. It was a simple thought, but it carried weight. I had no idea how or why, but something about that moment sparked a vision. Excuse me. The idea that despite all the struggles I was facing, okay, despite everything had been through, I could make something out of my life, something that might even connect with that space. The funeral home wasn't just a business to me; it represented possibility that I could build something, find a way to carve out my own path, no matter how far off that dream seemed. At that time, it felt like an impossible goal, something that existed far out of reach, but I held on to that thought, tucked away in my mind. I didn't know what the conversation would be about or how it would happen, but I believed that one day I would have the opportunity to speak with the owner. The thought stayed with me, and over time, it became more than just a passing desire. It was a vision of a future I could shape, a reminder no matter where I was, no matter how far down I had fallen, I still had dreams, and maybe, just maybe, the funeral home represented one of those dreams coming to life. When I finally met the owner of the funeral home, it felt almost surreal. The moment we shook hands, there was an immediate connection, something unspoken but undeniable. As we began talking, I learned that his family was also from Erie, just like mine. It was one of those rare coincidences that felt like it was meant to happen. Our shared roots from the same city gave us an instant bond, something deeper than just two people having a conversation. As we talked, I found myself opening up to him about my past, about the struggles I faced, the trials I've gone through, and how, despite everything, I always had a deep interest in funeral business. I explained how, from a young age, I had dreamed of becoming a funeral director. It wasn't a, it wasn't just about the profession itself, but about the role played in people's lives. I had always been drawn to the idea of helping families during their hardest moments, offering them support and care when they needed it most. I watched funeral directors with such respect, knowing that they were doing a job that not only required a skill, but also a great deal of heart. He listened intently, nodding and nodding and understanding as I shared my story and my passion for the profession. And in that moment, I realized how far I came from that day I had ridden past the funeral home, dreaming of speaking its owner, to that now sitting across from him, having a meaningful conversation about the future. The owner shared his own experiences, how his family had been in the business for generations, and how much it meant for him to provide care and dignity to families. It felt like the meaning it felt like a meeting of the minds, two people with a shared connection to Erie and an unexpected bond over a career path for so long had seemed so distant. By the end of the conversation, he looked at me with a thoughtful expression and said, "You have got the heart for this. If you are serious, there are always room for good people in this field." The conversation meant more than words could express. It wasn't just about a job, it was just about a vision coming to life. It was about finding a place, a calling where I could make a difference. The connection between our families, the shared history, and the mutual respect we have for each other's experience made believe that this more than this was more than just a chance meeting. Okay, that's enough. Um, we told me, I'm sorry. When he told me to come back the following day, oh, okay, made me believe that this was more than just a chance meeting. It was the beginning of a new chapter. When he told me to come back the following day for an interview, I felt a rush of emotions. There was excitement, yes, but a bit nervousness. This was an opportunity I had been dreaming about, and now it was right in front of me. I couldn't believe it was actually happening. The night before the interview, I couldn't sleep. My mind was racing with all the things I wanted to say, the experiences I wanted to share, and the knowledge I hoped to convey about my passion for the funeral industry. I knew this was my chance to prove that I wasn't just another person looking for a job. This was more than that. It was about a dream, a path I had envisioned for years. I wasn't going to let it slip away. The next day, I arrived early, trying to calm my nerves. As I walked through the doors, I had dressed sharply, as if to show I was taking this seriously. I wanted to make a good impression, so to show that I had a dedication and commitment to thrive in this field. I wasn't going to waste this opportunity. When I met him again, he greeted me with a warm, not cold like others think. But I think funeral directors got cold hands. Anyways, handshake and motion for me to sit. The conversation began, and it felt like everything I had practiced in my head the night before was flowing naturally. When we talked about my background, my interest, and my interest in becoming a funeral director, and why I was drawn to this line of work. I shared my experiences, both the hardships I faced and lessons I had along the way, and how I believe in those experiences have prepared me to help others during the most difficult times. He asked me about questions about my understanding of the job and the qualities that I thought a good funeral director should possess. I told him that empathy, compassion, and attention to detail were at the heart of what I wanted to bring to the profession. I didn't just want to run a business, I wanted to serve people with dignity and care. As the interview continued, I could tell he was genuinely interested. There was no rush, no pressure, just a conversation between two people who understood the gravity of work in front of them. By the end, he looked at me and said, "Oh, I just said this. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh no," he said you have got a good heart for this. We have to go and give you a chance. You will start tomorrow." I couldn't believe it. After years of dreaming, after all the setbacks and struggles, I was being given a chance, my heart raced with gratitude and excitement. This was it, the start of something new. I stepped into the future I had longed for. I was about to begin the journey of becoming a funeral director, a career I had always wanted, and now it was within reach. After grabbing the clothes from my car and changing, I was directed. Hold up, I can't believe my heart racing journey becoming a funeral director. I always wanted to know how it was reach. Before I got to my car, the owner called my name and asked if I wanted to work. Yes. And he told me to go home and get clothes. Okay. Before I got to my car, the owner called my name and asked if I wanted to work today. I told him yes, and I told him to go home and get. I told him yes, and he told me to go home and get clothes. Space. After grabbing the clothes from my car and changing, I was directed. Okay, get clothes. I had a pair. I had clothes in my trunk. I had clothes in my trunk. After grabbing the clothes from my car and changing, I was directed to meet Mr. Dean in the side, Mr. Dean in the back. To get there, I had to walk through the garage where the funeral cars were parked. The sight of the sleek, polished vehicles lined up gave me a strange feeling, part awe, part curiosity. The hum of the quiet, the hum of quiet activity in the space made it feel like I was stepping into a different world, one that was both professionalism and solemn. As I pushed through the double doors leading to the funeral home, that I couldn't help but feel a bit uneasy. It was my first time walking through a funeral home as an adult. The air was different, quiet, reverent, and heavy with purpose. The experience felt oddly familiar, though. It reminded me when I was a child at my grandmother's funeral. Back then, I hadn't fully grasped the gravity of it all. But now, as I stood here as an adult, the moment hit me differently. When I finally saw Mr. Dean, he turned to me and said, "You ready?" His New York accent cut through the silence, his tone direct but calm. "Yes, sir," I replied, my voice steady even as my nerves hummed beneath the surface. He nodded, then pointed to the table. "All right, look here," he said. Look here." He said, my eyes followed his gesture, and that's when I saw it, a deceased body on the embalming table. It was my first time I had ever seen a body like this up close outside of casket. My heart skipped for a moment, but I kept my composure. "This is where it starts," Mr. Dean said. His voice matter of fact. "If you don't do these two things, you would. This is where it starts," Mr. Dean said. His voice matter of fact. If you do these two things, you will get far in the industry and in life. Pay attention to details, big ones and small ones, and be humble. Practice humility. I gotta fix that. Be humble and practice humility every step of the way. His words stayed with me not just because of what they meant for the job, because of what they meant for life. It was more than advice. It was the guide for how to carry myself in the challenging and deep, meaningful profession. The moment marked the beginning of my journey, and I knew I had to take those lessons to heart as I stepped forward. From that day I met Mr. Dean, my life began to shift in unexpected ways. The intensity of stepping into the funeral profession, combined with the legal challenges I was facing, forced me into a period of deep reflection. Over the next 6 months leading up to court date in 2012, I juggled work, court proceedings, and countless hours of thinking about my next moves. While working at the funeral home was a new experience, I was holding on to my job at the Southwest Veterans Center. It was a blessing that they allowed me to continue working while I navigate uncertainty of my situation. Balancing both jobs was demanding, but it gave me a structure and kept me focused. My days were long. Oh, I thought she was home. It was a blessing that it was a blessing that they allowed me to continue working while I navigate the uncertainty of my situation. Balancing both jobs was demanding, but it gave me structure and kept me focused. My days were long, but having consistent work gave me a sense of stability and purpose during a time when everything else felt so uncertain. Every day at the funeral home brought new challenges and lessons, both technical and personal. The constant exposure to life fragility gave me a perspective I hadn't fully grasped before. It was humbling and grounding, reminding me of the importance of every decision I made. Meanwhile, my role at SWVC kept me connected to a routine I was familiar with, offering it. It's your time whenever you decide that you are the maker. Oh. Meanwhile, my role at the SWVC kept me connected to a routine I was familiar with, offering a sense of normalcy in an otherwise chaotic period. A few times, I found myself driving down Bond Boulevard, a familiar route that I had traveled countless times. Each time, I ignored the subtle signs that God was placing before me to consume my own thoughts and distractions to recognize His guidance. During those moments, months. During those months, I began to outline a vision of my life. I thought about how I could raise above my mistakes and create a path. Okay, she home. Okay. I thought about how could I rise above my mistakes and create a path that I aligned with my values and aspiration. It wasn't a time of uncertainty, but also a time of growth. Each day, I worked to stay focused on the present while planning the future, determined to find a way no matter the outcome. I drove down Bond Boulevard again, and this time, God spoke loud and clear. As I looked around, I saw it, the mortuary school, pimps. It was a, it was a, it was a, it was as if the universe had aligned, and the signs I had been ignoring suddenly made sense. The realization hit me hard. It was the path I had been waiting for, and it was right in front of me all along. I was about to enroll in mortuary school, but it took me 3 attempts before finally following through. I was a little nervous, uncertain if I was truly ready to make it such a big commitment. Hey, baby. But with each attempt, I grew more confident. I knew this way. I knew that this was a decision I had to make if I wanted to turn my life around and step into the future I had always dreamed of. Each time I walked into that school, I felt like I was closer to aligning my purpose with my actions. Finally, after overcoming my hesitation, I signed up. It was a pivotal moment that marked the beginning of a new chapter in my journey. If you just tapping in with me, I am reading Beat the Odds by Joshua D. Hicks. This is his first book of many that he wrote. And yeah, if you want a copy, go into the inbox and let me know. And I appreciate everyone. I'm grateful to have. I'm grateful to have a good family. I'm grateful to have a good mind, good body, good soul. All praises to Allah for making this day. You know, the sun's out. It's a beautiful day. My wife and I are chilling. I can't ask for no more. Um, I'll stop right there. Yep. Okay. Right there. Yep. So Beat the Odds by Joshua D. Hicks. And yeah, y'all. I can't even think what I want to say. So until the next time, y'all, peace, love, unity, community, and family. Peace. Peace.